Hi, I am Johnny John. Trust is one of the most powerful catalysts that you can use to develop self-transformation. Self-transformation is about releasing our suffering states of the mind, releasing our fears, our limitations. So where does trust fit into the equation? Before we begin, let us do a quick recap on what negative ideas are. If you already know, you can skip this section. Before we move forward, let us do a quick recap on what negative ideas are. So the seed cause for all forms of suffering states of the mind come from negative ideas. Negative ideas are ideas we have inside which promote self-rejection. These can be simplified and understood as self-declarations beginning with "it is not okay." For instance, it's not okay to fail. It is not okay to be arrogant. It's not okay to be angry. And when you become attached to negative ideas, for instance, it is not okay to fail, when this negative idea is triggered, for example, by an outer experience, when you fail or when other people fail, all levels of the self will experience it a bit differently. For instance, the physical self will experience it as negative physical sensations on the body. The mental self will experience it as negative thoughts. The emotional self as negative emotions. The totality of this experience is called suffering. And this is experienced all at once because there's no separation from within. So negative ideas are the seed cause for all your unhappiness, for your negativities, for all your fears. So how does trust fit into the equation? So from the perspective of negative ideas, trust is about believing that everything is going to be okay, rather than not okay. Developing trust is about, for instance, trusting that your opinion is right, to trust that your business will run smoothly, to trust that you will have enough money to live for the rest of your lives, and so forth. Now, it can be certainly hard to trust when our fears can convince us that everything is not going to be okay. Remember, fear is the belief that something is not going to be okay. And by letting it overcome us, by becoming convinced by our imagination that something bad is going to happen, this is how the fear sustains itself. To break the habit pattern of always reacting negatively to the negative ideas, to always dwell in the fears, we have to do something different, to trust that everything is going to be okay. Now, one point I really want to talk about is that developing trust is about developing it at the state of mind. It's not about being right or predicting the right result. It's not about determining a particular sort of outcome. For instance, trusting that your opinion is right is not about making sure that your opinion will be right, because we can never predict an outcome. It is about believing. It is about learning to accept yourself for having an opinion, and even if people reject it, to accept that situation as well. So it's about trusting yourself at the state of mind, to simply support yourself in whatever you do, to support yourself in whatever you say, to trust that everything is going to be okay. Now, when we're faced with a situation in life, a dark situation in life, where it fills our mind with doubts and imagination of the worst things that can happen, it certainly can make it difficult for us to step into that darkness and trust that everything will be fine. But realize that such experiences are beneficial. Actually, such experiences such as experiencing the worst of your fears materializing, these are beneficial to the mind because it is then you can realize that it's actually not so bad. And then your mind will be transformed. You see, when was the last time you had an experience like when you go towards your fears and you got hurt? Or when you died? I mean, obviously, you'd be still alive to watch this video. But our fears can keep us from illuminating that darkness with knowing. That's how it sustains itself. It keeps convincing us that the worst case situation is bad, to never go towards it. And as a result, the fear continues. So developing trust in every little thing we can do will help to develop the courage for us to step into those situations, to transform our minds, to transform our fears. Now, what kind of things can we do in life to develop trust? Well, we can start to try our best to come out of the negativity of doubt as quickly as possible and believe that everything is going to be okay. We can start making more decisions in life. We can start giving out more opinions. We can start to take risks. The lists are plenty, and you can find them on my website, creationwithincreation.com. And also, developing trust will help you greatly to develop self-knowing, because when you have no one else to trust but yourself, a lot of fears are going to surface, and this will help you because then you can work through them. So in summary, developing trust is about believing that everything is going to be okay. It's not about determining an outcome, that everyone's going to support you. It is about supporting yourself and accepting yourself, supporting yourself when you do something, and also supporting yourself when you fail, if you do fail. So it's all about developing self-acceptance. This is what the key to self-transformation is. So keep developing trust in your life, and this will help to accelerate your journey towards greater happiness.